why have I not been able to dial in my nutrition and my workouts in a way that makes me proud of my body? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Holly if you're new, and today I want to talk about my relationship with food and my body type and how I've really healed it, strengthened it, why I get up every day feeling good about myself, and hopefully something in here can help you if you're not feeling super confident. I wanted to do this video around summertime because I know this is the time where we kind of decide if we did enough work to get into our summer body or whatever it is, and even if you don't think that you subscribe to that mentality, it is kind of just natural in humans to compare themselves, right? So you're at the pool more, the beach more, you're gonna see people in less clothing and it's gonna make you compare. So especially if you're someone who's very active and also doesn't like how they look, you might also be struggling with, why have I not been able to dial in my nutrition and my workouts in a way that makes me proud of my body? That is where I'm coming from on this video. So I really hope in this kind of bullet list I give you guys of just my story and where I've gotten to with my mentality, it will help you. And as always, I remind you, I can do a part 2. So let's jump in. And it should be said right here at the beginning, I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist specifically, so I am not prescribing you guys anything to do in this video. I don't know you well enough, I don't know the details. So collect all of your information, all the videos you've watched, make your questions and go to those professionals. Go to the doctor, nutritionist, and figure out what is gonna be the best plan for what your goals are. Second thing I wanna say is you guys know I live a very active lifestyle. I'm moving and sweating a lot through the day. So if some of the things I suggest that have worked for me seem a little out there for your life, if it's not as active, make those adjustments too. I just wanna remind you of that. We all don't have the same activity level during the day. Some of you might be even more active than me, so take that into account as well. I know how touchy and personal the subjects of body image and of sports performance can be. In those categories, all of us are just trying to be more and more perfect. We just wanna change and tweak this one little thing, then I'll love myself. I'll do this little thing, then I'll be perfect. Then I will really think I'm good at my sport. It never ends. And I wanna tell you guys, remind you that I came from the world of classical ballet. A lot of you know that, but imagine every single day in a dance studio looking in the mirror from the time I was 4, went on to do it as my major in college, ballet performance was my major, and then I went to dance professionally afterwards. So when I tell you I've been deep in the trenches of hating myself, hating what I looked like, trying everything I could to get more thin, more fit, better at the sport, believe me, it was my entire life. So as I give you advice and I kind of reflect on my last years of how I got to this place, this is really personal. I'm gonna be really vulnerable with you guys. In fact, on YouTube itself right here, I've gotten comments from you guys saying, you don't look like a dancer, you don't look like you could run, how could someone of your body type run, all the things. I've read it. I don't even resent anyone that commented that. I understand it completely. And I live in a place now mentally where a lot of things can exist at once and a lot of opinions can. And that doesn't have to change my day to day. So let's start with that message as we dive in. The first thing we need to do is create a really strong foundation for our daily life. Diet and exercise will change and give us our results if we're consistent, right? The only way to create that consistency is to feel like everything we're doing kind of naturally fits into our lifestyle. When we look at diets, and really extreme diets at that, we might get really good results for 6 weeks, but when we fall off and lose them, it's usually because none of it felt like we could actually upkeep this through the year. What I want you guys to do is create a strong foundation where you feel really solid at the baseline so that all of your consistent efforts in diet and exercise don't need to be that big, but when added up, actually give you your results. That foundation is created on good sleep and good hydration. I tell you this from personal experience. A little story, very quick. When I moved to Nashville in 2020, all I was trying to do was make friends and build a life here. I was going out a ton, I was drinking too much, I wasn't sleeping very much, and my eating was all over the place. I would have one meal a day, maybe a couple snacks, and none of it was usually cooked at home. It was probably the worst I felt ever. The funny thing was I lost 15 pounds without even trying, I guess. It was just this horrible daily schedule. I wasn't strong, I lost a lot of muscle, and I just honestly didn't feel great. And the funny thing is, as soon as I dialed in my sleep and my hydration, I started to get back to my roots, how I knew I should be, and got a hold of all that, immediately I could make better choices, right? When you are not getting enough sleep and you're not drinking enough water, you immediately get worse cravings and you have large dips in your energy throughout the day. Much easier in your brain to skip a workout, right? You just want to take a nap, you don't feel your best. So if you at the very base can keep up sleep and hydration, you're gonna make better choices from there, and that's what we build on. I now want to talk about the concept of 80-20. You guys have heard this a million times from all kinds of people saying, if you eat well 80% of the time, you have 20% of the time that you can do whatever you want and not feel guilty. I do believe that, but I think a better way of looking at it is How do you feel your absolute best? If you can think of the perfect day where your body, mind, everything, you have energy, you feel full, but not too full, think of what that feels like. And when you have that in your mind, think of this as the thing you always want to come back to. I used to be very big in my sort of plus minus system. And in a video that I did at the beginning of my channel that got a lot of views, I talked about how I balance muscle and running. And even I can see in that video, I was very neurotic about how I viewed my diet. If I have this in the morning, I can't have this in the afternoon, this and that. And those are good choices to make to keep you at a baseline. But I think the way I think of it now is naturally, I want to feel better. I don't want to feel like shit. So that keeps me making better choices just based on how I feel. So as an example, say one night I have a bunch of pizza and Coke and I don't care what I'm eating. In the morning for breakfast, I'm gonna have a healthy breakfast because I want to get back to feeling my best, not out of punishment for the pizza and Coke. So I don't want you guys to see everything as making up for a mistake. That gets really quickly into the weeds of the diet culture again. And again, it's more mentally draining and makes you exhausted. And all of a sudden you start to see food as the enemy, which I don't want you guys to see. You had your pizza, you had your Coke. Wouldn't you like to have a great day now and get your energy dialed in at the beginning so you have energy through the day, do your workouts, be active, etc. So don't think of it as plus I was good, negative I was bad. Think of it more as how do I keep coming back to the middle and feeling my best for most of the days of the week. I'm excited about this next topic, which actually comes from Khloe Kardashian's book. I think it's called Strong Looks Better Naked, that I read forever ago. But I want to bring this up here because in the book she talks about if you have 5 pounds to lose, you should know why those 5 pounds exist. And her argument in the book was, if you have 5 extra pounds that you wish weren't there, but you know that they're from the glass of wine with your boyfriend, the pint of ice cream on Friday night, whatever, then you're fine. I always believe that as long as you know why you look the way you do, you're in a good spot. Because it means you have control over losing it, you have control over adding to it. And so when we look at things this way, we become a lot more proud in our skin. And I bring this up to also say, I've come to really embrace the fact that I'm very muscular, and a lot of people would say bulky. But I can do so much with my body that a lot of people without this muscle couldn't. So the more I embrace that strength and I look at myself and I say, yeah, I look this way because I run a certain number of days a week and I lift a certain number of days a week and I eat a certain amount of protein, etc. I know that all that goes into me looking the way that I do, me being the size of clothes that I am. If I don't know that and all I'm chasing is an image I saw on Instagram of some really skinny girl and the only thing I see is her versus me, I have no reference point on my own life, right? I am fixated on what I am lacking. If I know exactly why I look the way I do, even if it's heavier or lighter, at least I feel more in control. And honestly, it's given me just a sense of power over my own body. On that same topic, I think it's really cool to have control and power over your body because you can affect change in all of your sports goals. So for example, if I wanted to go run a really fast 10K, you guys know my thing and what I've always loved is long, slow running. But say my goal was to go run a really fast 10K, I would naturally want to lose some weight and I would make those adjustments based on how I know my body will perform better in the 10K. But it no longer feels like a punishment or I am not the person that can do it, so I have shame around the 10K. I can make those changes and do that. My body has accomplished a lot more than I ever thought it could. I can't even explain to you guys why I always push the races and for you guys to keep training because the confidence I've gotten coming across the 100-mile finish line, the 50K, even just a good marathon race for me really has done a lot to understand I did this with this body and I can do a different goal with this body and I can make those changes as I need to. But all of it becomes more and more in your control. All right, now we're gonna shift out of La La Land, love yourself and all of that, and I'll get practical with some tips for you guys that I have applied for many years now. Number one, I portion everything out. I am not a macro counter, that's not my thing, but I do always put something in a container if I'm gonna eat it. I basically never eat out of a container, even for fruit. You guys have seen when I plate my food, I always put berries in a bowl, I'll put snacks in a bowl, everything is always in a portion first, and then if I want more food, I make that decision to go back. If I make my dinner plate, I usually wait 10 minutes after I finish to decide if I would want more food. I never do it right away and I don't add anything extra thinking I'm gonna be hungrier. I start with the base, see how I feel, drink water through the meal, and then I make that decision after. So it's not like I overdid it before I decided to overdo it. I also like to fill extra space on the plate with veggies or salad. So I usually always have protein, carb, and some vegetable or a salad, and I'll usually add another thing as well if I know I'm starving. So a big salad with dressing, but also doing some roasted vegetables can make you feel full just from the fiber and water content alone. And then in combo with your protein and carb, that's usually a really solid meal. This also helps you not have those cravings after dinner. There's a lot of people that want to just get through the meal to have a dessert or to have snacks later because those just feel more fun. But I have found if I really fill up my plate with nutritious food, I have less cravings when it comes to afterward, or at the very least, I only want a couple bites of something. I've also really been leaning into my creative instincts in the kitchen lately. That's really helped my relationship with my workouts and my food intake as well. You guys have seen how into cooking I've been. I look up a lot of recipes, but lately I've also just been throwing random combos together from my kitchen. And I'll tell you, when you go to the store and pick out mostly whole foods as your groceries, everything you're gonna make in there has a really strong, healthy base. So you feel like you have more creative control and you don't have to feel as bad. I weirdly think that's totally changed my mindset in how I feel about myself, because most of what I'm eating is stuff I've put together and I know every single ingredient that's in it. So if you feel a little stuck in the food mindset and you feel like it's punishment, that you have to eat plain chicken and all that and measure everything and it's just sweet potatoes every single day, I suggest you lean a little bit more into what you actually like, find a healthy way to do that, and then create different combos. Keeps it interesting, gives you a nice hobby that you're off your phone for, you're not working, you're just kind of in the zone listening to music or a podcast. And all of that has made me feel a lot more empowered, honestly, in my workouts and my daily life. I'll hit this next point pretty quickly, but as it comes to workouts and tough days and how much to eat, I will say, you guys have seen, if I'm really, really tired from the day, I've done a bunch of workouts and I'm starving at the end of it, I'm gonna eat as much as I want. Hopefully it's good foods that I'm eating. Same thing if I've done a bunch of hard days and I get to my rest day and I just am ravenous, feeling like I'm kind of making up for those days of workouts, I'll eat as much as I want. If I get to a rest day and I'm not hungry at all, which also happens, I'll just eat less. So I really listen to my body in that way. And journeying back to the beginning of the video, remember, the better I am about sleep and hydration, the better choices I'm going to make. So I lean into how I'm feeling, but I really want that baseline to be something I'm proud of, that I can build on, with good intention. The last thing I want to say to you guys is that the more you like yourself as a person, the more you work on liking yourself as a person, the more you're going to like your body. I've watched it happen for myself, the confidence, the ease of mind that comes from that. And just know that everything in your life is all making you you. So if you're hammering over the computer at work all week and you don't have enough time to run or eat well, but you got something big done that led to a large accomplishment at work, you're now in the body of someone who accomplished that thing, and you should be proud, just as proud as if you ate well the whole week and crossed a half marathon finish line. We can win in all areas. And as long as we understand where we're putting our time and energy, the better off we're gonna feel, really inside and out. All I want is for you guys to feel strong, confident, and capable. Anything that you see as a weakness in yourself currently, or something that you want to accomplish that you're not there yet, just look at it as a challenge, a goal. We don't have to be naturally built in a way that we think is perfect on Instagram, but we can certainly work towards things based on what makes us happy. All I want is that we feel like the life we build is sustainable and not stressful. I hope this helped you guys. You can see how passionate I am and how vulnerable I got in this video, but I mean it. I've been through it all, the highs and the lows, and I am here if you need anything. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.